welcome along to our first crack at whatever this ends up being. Both myself, Taylor Wenlock, and my mate here, Jordan Gabolinscy, would you call us former club cricketers, and have sort of been involved in different capacities in the cricket space. Enjoy sort of chewing the fat. So looking at putting our mad ramblings out into the ether and seeing where it takes us. So yeah, not sure if there's anything to add from you, Gabbo.
Well, I think former cricketers, just forever battlers, is probably where my head goes when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like the fact that we're talking about cricket in what is now winter, June 1, is a problem, but that's okay. We want to air our dirty laundry, essentially, with everyone that decides to listen to this, and obviously this will become the greatest thing to ever grace the internet, and once it's there, it can't be deleted, so good luck. But, I think that sums it up pretty well. Just some couple of white guys on the internet talking about cricket in the middle of winter.
Yeah, exactly.
What else are we supposed
at the moment?
Yeah.
The gist of it is we're both Kiwis, New Zealanders. Gabbo's gone further abroad and jumped the ditch. I think there's a good opportunity to zone in on New Zealand cricket predominantly and jump around the map when the opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to jump the shark to that effect as well when we become really big and successful. Just do some very bizarre stuff. But for now, getting a good view of the New Zealand cricket scene and just talking it through really, because there is a lot to talk about. And I think that obviously we're never going to get as much attention as Aussie or English counterparts, but New Zealand does a fair decent job at hanging in there and actually competing. And it's something I want to see more often. And I want to see us actually start to win some finals for starters. We'll be making them, but haven't been winning a few of them, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll get there.
The classic tagline, we punch above our weight.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I suppose so. Like we're smaller than Melbourne, aren't we? And still tend to get up. And to be fair, we do nick half of South Africa's best players. But I suppose the Palms been doing that for a while as well. So, if they're doing it,
can't beat them, join them.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's that classic thing with New Zealand, right, where it's hard to ignore the fact that we do compete very well on the world stage in a number of different sporting formats, and the fact that we've got a pretty competitive cricket team at the moment is quite exciting.
Absolutely.
I remember sort of growing up in that circuit, sort of 2007, 2008. And there's some pretty dark days, tough moments. So to see, guys competing, doing well, and you're right, we need to start, putting the ribbon on some of these things, getting across the line.
100%. I think a classic moment back in the day was that Bangladesh tour. And I'm going to refer to we as if we were playing, but maybe one day. But when we got beaten 4-0 by the Bangladeshis and then 5-0 by the Indians in 2010. We ended up losing like 13 one days in a row. It was like, this is pretty bleak. But to see how far they've come back, that kind of heady period between Travis Head, that is 2018 through 2021, where bowling out England 58 at Eden Park, making finals for the first time and having some world-class players was really exciting. And as much as I'm quite cynical and try to make some pretty poor jokes about it, and it is quite, you do have, those old proud moments. You think these guys can play, and it's a far flung from the days of, I don't want to mention names because they're probably going to be guests one day, but it's been good to see. You think about Southie Bolt, Wagner Jameson, that was a good time. You think about that pre-COVID series against India where we could be dominated. And I was like, this is good times. And, we've kind of been there or thereabouts for a while, but never quite doing enough to kind of take it out. But I think given the series coming up, an opportunity to maybe move the dial in the right direction, come up with English coming up and, touring Aussie at the end of the year, which is really exciting. Always just exciting to see them play the Box Day stuff. So, opportunity to maybe start to follow it and talk about it more regularly.
Yeah. I think this English series is going to be a real litmus test, and it's going to be interesting because they're going to have a point to prove, right? Weren't we their first kind of series after McCullum was put in charge and they put us to the sword? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see actually where this group's sitting and how they go against them. Like we've got a pretty good side together. Been playing some good cricket over the last sort of wee while, some good Test cricket, and it's pretty exciting Test kind of summer coming up for the side as well. So yeah, plenty to sink our teeth into.
100%. And I think in the lead up to the series, let me first say thank God we didn't get pushed by Ireland, because that would have been TV's out the window stuff for sure. But good to see Rutchin, Foxcroft and Blundell get runs. I must admit, I thought Tom's time was done. I was campaigning pretty heavily for Mitch Hay to come in and get the job done. He looked okay against West Indies, both with the bat and the gloves, but fair play to Tom, and it's pretty much cemented his spot now. You feel for that English series. But yeah, it was good to see him contribute really, really strongly, and then with the ball, Smith and wickets and some follow-on point and laugh stuff as well for us, which is cool, and decent tune-upper overall. And I think primarily, like, it gives us the opportunity to be quite magnanimous in defeat, in victory, I should say, which is always the best place to be. You know, you can always be on your high horse, and I enjoy to be on that high horse, and it's my right to do so until we run into the Poms at Lords, which I think, it will be a tough game and tough series. But just on Ireland, I do feel quite bad for them. I read an article, which is what people with mental illness like me do. I read articles on Cricket Info in my spare time. I've got a wishing well if you want to donate. But yeah, just not enough red ball stuff for them. And too few opportunities, too far apart, just not enough consistency. Like, they haven't got their own red ball set up, or their players play in England, like Markadere and stuff. So did it do a lot for Irish Test match cricket? Probably not. Was it detrimental? Was it expensive? Probably. And it was a 4-day game as well, which wrapped up in 2.5, you could say. Yeah, 2.5. So yeah, is it doing much in the big scheme of things? Are we going to see Ireland play a lot more Test matches? Jury's out on that one, but for what it's worth, it was good, and we got what we needed out of it. So I guess we'll tick that box and move forward.
Yeah. I sort of agree with you on that. I think one of the really tough things for Irish cricket is, since going to Test status, I think that was the main driving force, that their players not being able to play county cricket has impacted them quite significantly. You think back to the O'Brien brothers, Boyd Rankin, Joyce, Paul Burney, who's there, Sterling, all these guys were playing county cricket, which they're probably getting a little bit more financially out of, possibly. But also just that quality of cricket is probably a grade higher than what they've got set up at the moment. I think they've got a 3-team red ball competition in Ireland, which, the quality is not going to be that next level, right? And you kind of need a really strong domestic structure, or you actually need to be getting a lot of exposure at Test cricket, which they're not really getting either at the moment, which makes life very challenging.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is that European 2020 League happening, which I think Ireland's part of, with the Dutch and the Scots, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of money back behind there, a bit of Steve Waugh gear. So, yeah, you feel that that's where the direction's heading. And that is, of course, a subset of what's happening at large with the game and where the money's going. Obviously, there's Saudi stuff happening as well. So will there be many Test matches in Ireland's future? Who knows? Will there be a Div 2 situation? Is there value in a Div 2 situation? Probably not. I think they looked at it briefly, the ICC, and then it kind of went in the bin. So, yeah. But for what it's worth, and going back to the whole New Zealand focus, we got the win, those points there, but we got some runs. And the guys got a bit of tune up before running into the Poms, which is starting, next week? I think it's next. Yeah, midweek next week. So, yeah, I feel that this is part one of a revenge tour for New Zealand. We've got the Poms again, somewhat of a reset following the Ashes, not too dissimilar to what happened in 2022. Obviously, we know what this lot are going to do. I don't see them going away from what has worked, if I can use that term, at home. Still got a great record, but flat wickets, short boundaries, inflated sense of self-importance. You know what you're going to get with this team, and they've had a couple of changes in that England setup, but for the most part, it's going to be a pretty strong side. You're probably looking at Duckett, Gay, Bethel.
I think
Room
Bethel's
might
got an
come in
injury.
for
I'm not
Bethel.
sure if he's going to be fit.
Yeah, finger injury after the IPL. So Root might come in, or Root could go to 3. You'd be hesitant to move Root, given how good he is at 4. He's pretty much at that Tendulkar level of kind of, this is my spot now, and the team will kind of revolve around that. Obviously, Brock at 5, and I think Ben Stokes and Jamie Smith are said to switch places. I'd like to see that outside cricket, just go home to each other's homes and just switch places and see Stokes with the keeping gloves on. But no, I think Stokes is going to bat 7 and Jamie Smith at 6. And then it's like, who are your bowlers? You got your Atkinson, probably going to bat 8, decent with the bat. Robinson.
I think Tongue has to definitely start, given the season he had in Australia.
For sure. Yeah, I'd say he's probably what you call the strike bowler. So Atkinson 8, Robinson probably going to bat 9, given he's just turned up a few times. Or was it with his new captaincy role? And I think
Sussex.
Sussex, Tongue at 10 and probably Bashir at 11. But Rian Ahmed could be in there, depending on what the wickets are doing. I don't suspect England will produce spinning wickets. I don't think we'll play. We may play a dedicated spinner, depending on how fit Santner is.
Do we have one in the squad? Would we call Santner? Well, he is obviously a frontline spinner.
Yeah, I think he's in the squad now.
Sort of all-rounder role. He is.
Yeah, he's in the squad, so tough luck for Foxcroft. He's on the plane home. But you know what they're going to do, the Poms. They're going to go hard, and it's about how have other sides stuck with them or got ahead of them. And that's going to be the challenge, I feel, is like, if we bowl first, then they're going to come and try and score 5 and over. If we bat first, even if we bat a day and a half, they'll look to knock that off pretty quick. So it's going to be an interesting opportunity for the guys, both with their skill and obviously with their tactics as well.
I have a feeling they might go on with 4 seamers for Lords. Go no spinner.
Well, that's actually a good segue. Let's talk about the New Zealand side. So your top 5, Latham, Devon Conway, feel that Will Young's, his time's not done, but another missed opportunity. Which is a bit unfortunate, but obviously they've gone with Devon Conway. That worked pretty well against West Indies, especially in that second game. Kane, obviously going to bat 3, Rutchin at 4, Mitchell at 5. Your middle order is going to be interesting. What about,
they'll probably stick with Blundell at 6, I would think.
What about Phillips at 6?
They go Glenn Phillips, because I think they're only playing one of Phillips or Santner, particularly for Lords.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they pick both.
Yeah, Phillips, Blundell, Santner. That's kind of the order I've kind of got if you pick both. And if you pick both, then you've got, if they're fit, Jameson, Henry, O'Rourke, with the player that could come in for one of those 2 spinners, probably Nathan Smith.
Yeah, that's where I landed. I had probably the spinners bracketed, depending on what sort of role they saw them playing. With probably, Phillips batting 6 if he plays, which that might be the way they go.
Yeah, as flat wicket at Lords, you maybe need to go with the Phillips and just rest Santner one more time. But yeah, just interesting. If we go with Phillips, then if we are hit with our 4 right-arm bowlers, do we have much variety? I know Rutchin will probably bowl if required, but do we have a lot of variety there to stem what you suspect to be a pretty big flow?
Yeah. I mean, that is the argument for Santner and potentially Blundell batting 6 and Santner 7, Smith 8. He's probably our best defensive bowler, right?
Yeah, exactly. And pretty good success against the Poms last time we played them. I think Santner took 4 or 5 that second innings.
So much cricket, I can't remember.
Yeah,
this is why we're documenting it.
Yeah, pretty much. So exactly. We've got to start doing it sometime. But Nathan Smith, decent record against Root, if he can keep his foot behind the line. So, opportunity to bring him in, and he's obviously came off a fiver, or a sixer, in fact, against the Irish. So, yeah, I think you're right. They'll either go, I'd go Santner personally, just to give them an opportunity to play an actual spinner. But then again, you do have Rutchin as the left armour. Yeah, I don't know which way they'll go, honestly. But yeah, you feel that the seamers will get some rotation as well with the 3 games. So you've got Folks and Tickner, very capable bowlers themselves. Folks, decent record against the Poms and the white ball stuff. So, and Tickner doesn't really let you down at any point either. So there's a good side we have. I think it's just going to be how we go about playing these guys. As I say, you don't want to get sucked into going with them. And that's going to be the challenge, I think feelings if you have to score 5 and over. I think the opportunity, if we do bat first, is to bat once at 550, 600 and put the pressure on them in the way we've done in the past. But we'll see. It'll be a very interesting series. Will there be a bit of a reset from England? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's one interesting point with that English lineup is the way it's shaping up is if Roo does come in if Bethel's injury is significant enough that he's not able to play, is you're going to have 2 guys potentially batting slightly out of position. Like Gay's been batting 3 for Durham, and I know it's not a massive shift, but yeah. I mean, you can't, if you can bat 3, you can open. But there's all, you didn't see Alistair Cook going back and batting 3 for Essex, did you? Or maybe Strauss did. He batted 3 for England for a while. But, I think if you're going to do that job at the top level, you want that exposure and experience doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be my layman's take.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's somewhat of a throwback to what the Aussies were saying about the top order not really mattering. It's just you put your top 7 where they kind of fit best. But I still think that Emilio Gay and James Rowe are still a big question mark. Obviously, they haven't actually played yet, but they'll be given a license to go out and play however they want. I'm not sure it'll be total cult-like devotion to just throwing the hands, but I think they'll be encouraged to go for it. And that whole idea that I loved how you did that, Ben Stokes' approach. If he gets a first ball or he gets 100, it's more like how was your intent rather than the outcome. But obviously that's just my take as someone who's never met Ben Stokes and probably never will. But yeah, I sometimes like the way the English go about it. Other times they're frustratingly good. And we saw that in 2022 when I think all 3 games we were fair, could have won all 3, and that would have changed the complexion entirely. But unfortunately, we just didn't have the firepower that they did to kind of finish the job. So yeah, I think the bowlers we've got at the moment, like Matt Henry's obviously going to be pretty solid, but it's just that the pitches are flat. What are we going to do to combat that?
If there's anything in it, he'll find it though. That guy's gone to another level in the last couple of years.
Yeah, hasn't got Crawley there to point and laugh at. But if it is a flat deck, are you going to go to short pitch bowling? And I think O'Rourke could probably be the best bet for some short pitch stuff. But given how injury prone he is, that may also present a bit of a challenge. But then you could bring in someone like a Blair Tickner to be that workhorse role. But anyway, I guess we'll see. This is all speculation, right? So the whole point of being a podcast is you throw your ideas out there and make wild speculations and assumptions with no consequences.
Stop being so self-aware, Gabbo.
I'm all about being
one
meta.
thing I think with the English setup is they've obviously put faith in McCullum and Key and the players they've got. Like Crawley's really the only player to be missing from that tour to Australia. And they were very close to getting on the board there earlier. The thing that you would say is they probably just need to be able to identify those moments where you have to play a tiny bit smarter, for lack of a better term, where I think, Test cricket's always been a game of cricket just generally is a game of ebb and flow where the sort of momentum swings back and forth throughout the game. That trying to just knock the door down for 5 days straight, I think you're going to struggle to be a consistent champion side only having one method.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think even that kind of championship Aussie side that we grew up watching, they weren't entirely unbeatable, but it was the way they adapted and their players stood up when they needed to. Like how many times did Gilchrist come in and just, whether they be 300 for 5 or 80 for 5, just take the game away? And how often did their bowlers in all conditions get the job done? They didn't rely on flat wickets. And even if there was a flat wicket there, they had guys that could do the job anyway. And I think during the Ashes, if you cast your mind back, there was a little bit of that, that applicability and the change of mindset, which then threw a spanner in the works in the changing room from what the press was saying at the very least. I know you and I weren't in the dressing room. I give my absolute kingdom to be there. But you saw Ben Stokes change his approach in Brisbane and basically come out and say that his changing room's not a place for weak men. Again, absolute kingdom to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. But they probably will, surely they will learn some lessons from that series and do things differently. Otherwise, as you say, they are going to pigeonhole themselves and just be a travelling circus. And that's a big call to make for a side that's probably going to beat us 3-0.
Yeah. And I mean, you see teams are going to start preparing wickets that don't necessarily suit them, right? And a lot of the commentary has been around on a wicket that's doing all sorts. It's actually quite an effective way to play. On an absolute, feather bed where there's nothing in it, but pretty effective way to play. If you can have a sporting test wicket and you've got to show that extra level of skill that, like Root is a perfect example. He's just gone to another level consistency-wise in the last...
I'd say 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously they play so much test cricket that if you're in a purple patch, you can really make hay. But you just got to think that if you're going to be consistent, home and away, dominant test side, you'd like to see them learn some lessons and keep improving and challenging themselves to kind of find ways to be better.
100%. 100%. I think that 2023 Test match at the Basin was a good example of a pitch that was pretty sporting and had a lot in it for a lot of different players. I think Jack Leach took a 5 for there. There's hundreds for both sides of both players and both sides, sorry. And it came down to 1 run. And I know that we won that game. Again, we didn't play. But I think that'll be where they can be gettable. But at home, you just know what they're going to do. So anyway, let's find out what happens. But just on to the New Zealand side, Latham 100 away from equaling Martin Crowe's record, which is pretty exciting for a guy that's
significant.
Yeah, it's been obviously captain now and been a part of the side for what seems like it's been about 10 years almost, if not more. And on that note, I was looking through the team, well, at least the team we think. A few of those guys may not come back to England. You think about Latham, Conway, Kane, potentially Mitchell, depending on what he wants to do. Henry, Santner, Blundell. A lot of those guys are in their 30s. Opportunity to give it one last kind of push to get a series victory in England after that 2021 series. So an opportunity, and I'm sure the guys aren't, aware of this. I mean, if they're not, then they haven't read my notes. So therefore, what are they doing? But yeah, opportunity to hopefully send those guys off on a winning note. But yeah, we'll see how we go. It's a very non-committal response to a question no one asked me, which is, how do you think the Black Cap's going to go?
I think, yeah, very... there's wisdom in that, Gabbo.
Yeah.
Hidden in amongst it.
Yeah, hidden somewhere in there. There's got to be some kind of wise words for sure.
Mm.
I suppose moving on from that, unless you've got any other notes on the upcoming series.
There's a couple of call-outs from the Island Test that I'd like to circle back to.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, bounce all over the place.
Yeah.
Obviously, Foxcroft.
98.
Awesome for him. 2 runs short. Pretty unfortunate. But I think one of the call-outs there is it's cool to see a guy who's had not necessarily a smooth line to that point. Like, he sort of moved from South Africa. He had a lot of issues around COVID in terms of getting like locked out of the country. He's moved provinces a couple of times. I think he started at CD, moved to Otago, bounced back, and to get that opportunity and to do that with it, absolutely awesome. No, unfortunately, he's on a plane back home, but I think New Zealand cricket's been quite consistent with that, and it's been part of what's made us good, is they've actually been really consistent. Like, these are the guys that we've, identified to play this game. We'll stick with them, even if other guys are performing. It's always planned, sort of who comes in and out, unless there's injuries and those sort of things. And there's quite a clear pecking order. So I think that's awesome. Nathan Smith, in terms of he's a very skillful cricketer, and great to see him actually start to show just how good he is. I feel sorry for the poor old Irish top order. I think that's a good sort of start of coming of age for him. Blair Tickner was another one that there was a period with Blair Tickner a few years ago where you're sort of looking at him getting opportunities, and it's like, he's a good first class cricketer, and he's done his time there, and he's sort of, next cab off the rank, but is he really going to be good enough? And in the last probably 18 months to he's really starting to contribute nicely and do a good job. And particularly like the personal battles he's having off the field where his wife's been a bit unwell and that sort of thing. Just super chuffed for him. The other little call out was good to see Ben Sears back bowling some overs.
Yes. Yep,
always nice
definitely.
to see guys with a bit of pace, and he's a guy like he's been a fast bowler through and through. Like, it's in his blood, and to see him on the park kind of sending down some rockets is always a nice thing to see.
Yeah, I agree. Just on the topic of Tickner, obviously there was the stuff with the flooding Central North Island a couple of years ago, and that really took him apart a little bit. But every opportunity that players had, he's just taken and done a really good job. I think that's the thing that I think people tend to forget, is that there's obviously been a big focus on Matt Henry being the leader of the attack. But from what you've seen, Blair Tickner's been fantastic. I think that was a game against England at the Cape Town at the white ball stuff, and he got 4 for, just completely dominated a pretty strong English side. So I'm, as you say, very happy to see him in there and doing well. And I think on the note of Foxcroft, it's quite similar, not entirely the same, but Rutchin kind of had a similar run. You think about where he was in 2021. In the side, people thought, yeah, good player, but I don't know if there's a future immediately. And then suddenly exploded in the 2023 World Cup. And he's just been there, and he's just absolutely dominated the entire time. I could see a smile forming on your face. Obviously, he's been a prodigy for a long time. But
I think we might be moving in slightly different circles in regards to Rutchin.
That's fair enough. But you think about, I suppose, like from a layperson, like watching the cricket in 2021, Rutchin's batting 6-7 against India in that series, and there was a series not long after against Bangladesh and the white ball stuff, and it was like, it's a tough place to go, and there hadn't been a great deal of attention at home on him either. And then obviously Wellington had dominated for a long time, and he was a big part of that. And to see him actually get the recognition from 2023 onwards has been awesome. And I hope that Foxcroft kind of goes down that same route. I hope that makes sense. And I know that's probably a bit libelous saying he wasn't like a bit of excitement there, but I hope you know what I'm trying to say there, is that we've got guys who are in the system doing well, and they just get an opportunity and they take it. Same with Conway as well back in the day. Had one opportunity with the test match stuff, scored a double 100. He's kind of been there ever since.
Yeah. And I think there's something, like, I know there's a bit made about South Africans sort of playing for England, playing for New Zealand, but you listen to Devon Conway's story where he's basically sold everything back home. He's betted all on coming here. He didn't even have a first class deal. I think we may have played against him.
Do we?
I definitely remember him in a club game just slapping the ball all over the place. I was at deep cover getting the ball kind of pinged either side of me. It was like, it's one of the few times we've been pasted. I've actually just thoroughly enjoyed it. And he just scored so many club runs that he forced his way, I think, into the T20 team because there was an injury to the keeper or something. But found a way in, and just each opportunity he got, he just took it and took it and took it. And I think there is something really admirable to these guys who, take those risks to kind of chase the dream. Like two young fellas from Wellington, New Zealand, starting a podcast, and
it all comes back to us, doesn't it? Yep,
it does.
Exactly. Yeah. I think just for everyone obviously listening, which is everyone, this is what happens in New Zealand cricket. Like if you play club cricket, you're going to run up against an international at some point. And it's either really funny because you end up get demolished, or it's really funny because you somehow have some success against them. And that can be by sheer coincidence or just a little bit of luck.
How many first-class cricketers have you got out, Gabba?
Oh, it's underneath 3, but there are a couple. We don't need to name and shame. I'm sure you've probably got a handful yourself. But yeah, there's certainly a precedent there that if you do play, you will run up against someone. I remember we played against an Irish international, I think. I remember he was scarily fast to face. I was like, this is just, I'm not enjoying this. I shouldn't be here. Like, it was almost like being like Saving Private Ryan. Like, I need to go home. Like that was the kind of style of level of
in the trenches.
Yeah, exactly. Just survivalist nature. Anyway, enough about that. Carry on. I'm sure I've broken about 5 or 6 different laws of libel in there. But New Zealand Women's Series against England wrapped up. 1-day series draw, a bit of rain about England that time of year, which is quite funny. Runs, Grant and Halliday, wickets, Hilling and Mayer, which was pretty decent. A good tune-up again for the T20 World Cup, but then we went on to lose that series 2-1. Disappointing. We got rolled for 80 in that game 3, considering how much we had revived. Well, I say we. It kind of come back from the brink in game 2. But still, I think a decent tune-up ahead of what should be favourable conditions in England, and a side that is defending their title, which is a really cool thing from New Zealand point of view. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Devine smacked them around as well, didn't she?
She just keeps going. How long will she keep going? She's like the Terminator.
Well, she's retiring at the end of the World Cup, isn't she? But
she says this. She says this, and watch her just go one more year. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like Dhoni in the IPL.
World Cup.
Just keep the hope alive. But obviously, Millie Kerr doing her thing as well. We have a good side. Hard to look past the English again and the Aussies at that World Cup, especially in those conditions. But think about the last 2020 World Cup that the women won. We had a pretty rough lead up into that World Cup. Had a pretty rough couple of first games, and then just the draw kind of fell favourably, and they went out and smashed it. And not just won the final, gave the South Africans a hiding. So that was good. We don't get a lot of that over here. So that was cool, and I hope to see it more often.
You were saying Rosemary Mayer was amongst the wickets. I reckon she's like so underrated as a bowler.
Yeah.
Like every time I watch her bowl, she's got great length control, shapes it nicely, always seems to be effective, really good slower balls as well. Just one of those ones that it doesn't look like she's, necessarily slinging it down there at, 125 or whatever. But man, she just always seems to find a way to, make an impact and be quite effective, particularly kind of that early phase and sort of through the middle.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to the World Cup, and hopefully the weather's good. I think it's the UK is going through somewhat of a heat wave, I understand. So hopefully the cricket is good.
23 degrees.
Yeah, people are getting sunburned left, right, and centre. But yeah, it'll be a good opportunity. I think the West Indies are up first for us. So they're a side who are obviously still very good themselves, but we start well, we get some momentum up, and we have Ireland in our group as well, I think. So probably an opportunity for get a game there and just get into the playoffs, just get into that next round, and then it is just knockout cricket stuff. And that's an opportunity where I think we can surprise a few people.
Can we say it's surprising when we're the reigning champions?
Oh, this is what happens.
Can we still get away with sort of sneaking in as the underdog?
Have you not appreciated our time in New Zealand? It's all we do. That's what happens. New Zealand,
we're at our best.
Exactly. We are always under the radar. I don't know what the radar is, but we're always underneath it. And to the detriment / comedy of others, that either works for us or it doesn't. You know what I mean? People still think we're perennially Chris Harris when it comes to cricket. You know what I mean? Just this very
What are you trying to say about Chris Harris?
He's a great man. He's a great man. But that's how people see us when it comes to international cricket, I think. Just more liable. Just more liable, mate. Okay. Just throwing out some controversy.
Yeah, trying to get yeah.
Well, anyway, speaking of controversy, why don't we talk about the IPL?
Was there controversy with the IPL?
Well, I think so. There's been lack of handshakes. There've been, there's been hand gestures, predominantly from Australians, which is funny. But RCB, back to back.
Yep.
Ken Coley, suddenly a dynasty is forming around the man, which is kind of weird because RCB were kind of this like golden team. They just never won anything. And now they are just completely dominating. So kind of good. And kind of good to see Jacob Duffy get a game in the final.
We took 3 for in the eliminator to get them straight through the book.
He got a bit of tap in the final, but he's on the winning side. So it's quite nice that a New Zealander won a game in a final in a Metabud, considering what we got to with the New Zealand side, started middle of this year, or early this year, I should say. But yeah, not too many New Zealanders in the IPL this year. Matt Henry started, Trent Boult started, Glenn Phillips started. Not a lot of progress on those guys. Finn Allen, 100, which was cool. Then followed by 90. Tim Seifert, not many runs at the top. Rutchin went home. We didn't go home. We went to England to prepare for the...
I think he actually did come home.
Oh, did he?
Came home and then went to England, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know why he's not getting any game time. He's literally, he was playing for Chennai. He was opening the batting. He may have even got a bowl. I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, they lost.
It is it's so tricky in that franchise space, right? Like depending who the overseas signings are.
Yeah.
And I think even how much they've paid for guys probably impacts. Like if you spent, 1.5 million on Cam Green, for example, you're probably kind of invested in terms of getting a return on that.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think there was some thing New Zealand Cricket put out. There was sort of, at one point in time, there was something like 38 or 41 players playing overseas between was it Bangladesh or Sri Lanka? We had a series recently. There was an A tour. It might have been Bangladesh and there was an A tour to Sri Lanka.
Yep.
There was about the same number of players. It might have been 8 players at the IPL and about 9 at the PSL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the PSL got a bit of
a good subcontinent exposure, which is
always a good
it's
thing.
important for that continuity going forward.
Yeah, I think the next World Cup...
You've got to have guys that can... What was that, sorry?
Yeah, the next one, the World Cup's going to be, I think, in India, I think.
Mm.
So, yeah, absolutely spot on. The PSL got a bit of momentum this year. A few Aussies and New Zealanders buying into it. Who knows? Competitor.
It's going to be such an interesting space. I'm not sure the number of T20 leagues is going to keep increasing and stay as big as it is forever. I think that some of them will start to shrivel up and die, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think there's some of them, they're obviously making, the owners and stuff are making reasonable money off. I think there's others where it sounds like they're maybe putting in more than they're getting out.
I mean, this is the Wild West, isn't it?
Like this podcast. Yeah. Michael Vaughan interviewed, who's the guy who started the IPO? Is it Lalit Modi? Is that the guy who started the IPO?
Yeah.
I should know this. I shouldn't throw it out without.
It's fine. Now's the time for throwing out names without any conviction. I think that's him.
Yeah. And he was just saying if you want to make money, it's a terrible business to be in. That was his take on it. I mean, I'm not sure if there's other factors at play that he's not on those circles, or I'm sure he could be if he wanted to. Yeah, just interesting. But I think the privatisation thing is going to be interesting. I know we've sort of flagged to talk about that and maybe future episodes and whatnot. But yeah, I just think there's so many of them popping up and there's just such a saturation
Yeah, exactly. And there's also a limited availability risk as well.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be timings, players clashing all over the shop. We saw this a couple of years ago with the South Africans sending essentially a third 11 to New Zealand. I mean, we'll take it. We will definitely take it. And we did. I say we, I didn't play. But that may happen again in other areas, maybe not with the international stuff, but you've got the NZ20, what's bound to be a privatization. Sorry.
No, you're right.
Discussion to be had in Australia as well, and obviously South Africa is well and truly on that horse. So those two will clash at some point in the Southern Hemisphere summer. There's already 2 different competitions happening in England. As I said, there's that European League happening. You got the Indian, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, West Indies, and now a Saudi competition as well. I'm sure I'm missing a few. So yeah, it's going to be either we have a situation where New Zealand just fits into a jigsaw that looks suspiciously like international football, where you've got Premier Leagues all over the place, followed by a window for a World Cup and a Test Match Championship final. So that could be how it looks. And I'm surprised no one's actually engaged you or I to make a decision on this, because I feel as if our opinion is always good.
Still time.
There's still time. ICC, if you're listening, please reach out. You got my details. But just quickly on the IPL before we wrap it up. The lead run scorer is 15 years old.
Yeah.
What's doing there? What is that a good thing? Is this something that we want to see perpetuated? Is this Bradman stuff? What is this? I don't know what to make of it. It's bizarre.
It's one of the thoughts I've had about this. As if he was playing in New Zealand, would he even be allowed to play men's club cricket?
I probably would throw him in.
Sectors like Wellington, he probably wouldn't be able to.
I probably would throw him in if he's obviously that good.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But in terms of the way the administration is structured, there's such a push to keep kids within their age brackets that it's like that dude's a serious player. And I know there's a few people kind of making noises about his age. It's irrelevant. Someone had said, I think something aged him as 17 or something. Like he said he was however old at some point. Totally irrelevant at this point. Like he's
absolutely 100%. I think Shade Afridi had similar age questions. I think Rashid Khan is in that bracket as well. Again, more liable if any lawyers are listening. But yeah, I agree. The age component, obviously, it is certainly a selling point to this thing that is going on. At what point does he play for India? At what point?
I think he's going to have to play this year. There's no way you can't pick him.
And don't forget, he's not just boshing 2020 stuff. Obviously, under the 19 World Cup.
Bumrah, Cummins.
Well, yeah, exactly. But don't forget, he peeled off 175, I think it was, in the under 19 stuff. So that's 50 overs. So he's obviously good there. And I think he hit 100 in an under 19 Red Bull game against the Aussies a couple of years ago. So
quite possibly, yeah.
So and yes, we are talking about a 15-year-old child. This is getting weird. Like, at what point does he go? Like, if you think about Jaiswal, he's just been forgotten. Like, he was the young, shiny thing 2 years ago. You think about 2024, that was all about Jaiswal opening the batting in the test matches. This is great, he's bringing that attention and a couple of hundreds in the first couple of games. This is just something totally different. And I mean, obviously the IPO was there to exacerbate the situation, but this is a freakish talent that would have probably emerged regardless of the franchise circuit.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So are we talking Sachin stuff? Is this what we're getting into now?
I think Sachin's been making some comments about how good he thinks he is. And Sangakkara said he's going to be better than he ever was, or something along those lines.
Yeah, not a bad coach to have it at Rajasthan.
Not at all. The Jaiswal point is interesting. I think Ambati Raidu made a point on one of the Cricinfo sort of debriefs of something of games. He's like, Jaiswal probably needs to move franchise for his own sake. That he's like being constantly overshadowed by a young kid. Like, he said elsewhere, he can be the shining light and win games off his own bat, and that's I don't know. It's a good thing for Rajasthan, right?
Yeah.
Jaiswal, Suryavanshi, Joel, the keeper, actually had a bumper season. I think he was
Batting
another one that
3.
sort of averaged 40 and
Yep.
struck him pretty quick as well.
Yep.
He's played a little bit for India already, and he's quite young as well.
Yep.
I mean, that could be their top order for the next 10 years if they wanted.
You throw Shubman in there and KL Rahul and even Shreyas Iyer in the mix. But
it's interesting with Gujarat. I hadn't watched heaps of the IPL, like the timing's not great here, right? But they really put an emphasis this year on their opening pair, but particularly with the bowlers. How there's this whole thing around matchups and changing bowlers and that sort of. They basically use Siraj and Rabada to bowl their 6 power play overs. I'm pretty sure it was every game.
Yep.
And with pretty good success as well.
Rabada top
and then you
taker.
look at, I think, I can't remember the exact number, but Shubman and Sai Sudarshan both scored, they might have scored 16 50s between them or something like that.
Yeah. Well, Sudarshan was the second top run scorer. He had an opportunity to go past 5 above and didn't. He made a pretty cheap score in the final. But they were solid as Rabada top wicket taker, and Siraj is pretty good all round in the IPL stuff. So, unfortunately, India's looking fantastic again. So, that'll be fun.
But that was almost the game, wasn't it? Like, just having a look through that Shubman and Sai Sudarshan kind of neutralised at the top, able to put a lot of pressure on that kind of middle order who possibly hasn't had to do as much heavy, like this
Heavy
week.
lifting. Yeah. Well, I think in the semi-final, I think they put on like 150
their game has really been built around getting off to a really solid start.
Yep.
And then you look at the figures of Siraj and Rabada. Like, I think Rabada went like 44 for 1 off 3.
Yeah, he got hit around. Venkatesh Iyer came in as the impact opening bat. They put on like 60. I think he hit like 30 of them off about 15 balls, something like that.
Breaks it open.
Massive pickup from Kolkata. I'm not sure why KKR let him go. But anyway. But overall, insane IPL. And I just, as I say, can't really get over the vibe of thing, man. It doesn't feel real.
It's pretty good. Yeah. The one thing I would sort of say in Gujarat Titans defence, the headphones are still causing me grief. Their 3 games they played in the finals, and I actually quite like the setup of that with the eliminators and the qualifiers, and that it's not just. But so they played, I think it's May 26th against RCB in the eliminator and lost that. And so they went into the second qualifier 3 days later against Rajasthan.
Yep.
Won that. And then 2 days later, they're playing the final against RCB.
Yep.
And so in that, 5-day window, 6 days, 5 days, probably 6 days, they've played 3 games at 3 different grounds. And so I had to travel, and obviously play. Whereas RCB are able to go, first game 26th, travel, they know where the final's going to be, train, rest up, get the preparation right. It would have, not a miracle, like they're professional cricketers, they've got to, do the job. And I don't think I haven't heard anyone use it as an excuse or anything from the setups, but man, that would be an effort to win under those circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you get, I suppose, for losing in their final setting. They did finish second, I think. So it just comes down to, winning your games during the year and then executing in the finals time. It's a massive segue, but shout out to our NBA followers. Same situation. It's going to happen in the NBA finals. New York haven't moved in the last, I think, couple of days, maybe a week or so. And they've got at San Antonio, who have just gone backwards and forwards between there and Oklahoma, about to go and play all the way up in New York from Texas. So, definitely a thing. Definitely travel is in there and makes life a lot harder for sure.
Yeah. have to admit, I do like that structure, and I think that having some consequences or added incentive to finish at the top of the table, opposed to a team scraping in at fourth. They win their semi-final, they're at a final.
Yeah.
2 good games and they're winners.
Yeah, and I think it continues
you have to win a couple.
Like the end of the year finals, like jeopardy. Like you don't want to just have a nice easy run. You want to have that component of it's almost like a must win, even if you're coming in as the top side. You have that couple of days off and have less travel. But overall on the IPL, Kohli just seems to keep getting better, which I think Cricinfo put again, mental illness stuff, but Cricinfo put a top players of the century, and he was, I think, number 3, ahead of Ponting, ahead of Murali. So right up there with one of the best of all time to do it, and 80-odd centuries internationally. So he's a player. He can play, and I reckon we can get him at 9i in a few years' time as well.
What a signing.
Yeah, just $1 per run and just get behind the bar.
Yeah, no subs, $1 per run.
Yeah, I'd love to see on Artie mid-October. It's about 6 degrees. Let's see him face up and see how he goes.
Smash a cover drive and it doesn't even get outside the 30-metre circle.
No, you're running that too
season.
really hard. It is a slog. If he comes off 20 off 60, you might get a wee nod from the captain to say, it's all right, mate. But anyway, I think we've offended enough people and covered enough ground for our first episode. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good place to end it.
All right.
Good work, Gabbo.
Yeah, well, I think we might talk again before the first ball's bowled at Lords. But quick prediction, you're not going to get any draws in that series, but I'd love to see them take it 2-1. I don't think we'll get them 3-0. I don't think they'll get us 3-0 either.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
Cool. I think I'll put it in with the bookmakers and make it happen. Sweet as.
Yep. Nah. Good work, mate.
All right. Sweet as, man.
First one in the books.
Our lawyers will no doubt be in contact with us for the libel. That's okay. That's what we're here for.